Welcome back to the Medical Alley Association podcast series From Challenge to Champion, where we're highlighting Medical Alley leaders who used personal challenges as fuel for action, ultimately leading to the creation of innovative new companies, care solutions, and new perspectives in their careers to help others experiencing similar struggles. Our guest today is founder and owner of Levity products, Sarah Olson. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us to tell your story. Why don't you start by introducing yourself to our listeners?
Well, I'm Sarah Olson from Minnesota, and I am here for Levity products. I'm the founder and owner of Levity products.
So tell me, Sarah, what led you to start Levity products?
Yeah, so I don't have a background in medical, in engineering, like most people I'm sure you're used to talking to do. I'm a mom. I have a little bit of business background, but I'm a mom. And the main reason I started Levity products was for my son Levi. I have three kiddos, one who's 8, one who is Levi, and then 11 and a 5-year-old. But Levi was born with spina bifida. He has had issues with his bladder and bowel. And so in 2016, he had 9 surgeries in that one calendar year. And at the very beginning of the year, he did a surgery to be able to have independence when he was going to the bathroom, to be able to cath through his abdomen instead of the urethra. And during that and after that surgery, he had to use a medical device that gave him so many problems, a lot of complications, a lot of infections. Actually, from January when he had the surgery to April of that year, he had 6 procedures, not because of his body or that the surgery didn't work well, but because of this device. And I was watching my child deteriorate. He was really, really struggling. In June of that year, we had to schedule another surgery to reopen the stoma that was in his abdomen because I had to have access to be able to drain his bladder. When I went to his doctor, I talked to him and I was like, listen, we can't use this device anymore. There's got to be something else. At that point, it was 2016. I'm like, there's got to be something different. And the doctor said, unfortunately, what we have is what we have. This is it. And he jokingly said to me that day, he said, if you want something different, you would have to invent it. Ha ha. And then walks out. And in my mind, I'm like, okay then. Looks like mama's going to invent a medical device. I have no idea what that looks like or what that would be like or how you even go about doing something like that. But, I think there's something different when a mama hears something like that than maybe an engineer in a lab or somebody who's trained to do what they do, because I know it works from home. I know the fixes and the strategies I've used from home, just from ordinary things, to make my son's life better. And so when I was thinking about it after I left that doctor's appointment, I was like, okay, I don't have a choice. I'm not using that device again because it was killing him. And something in me switched in that moment, and I went home and I figured out how to solve the problem that we were having, and took my idea, got it on paper, figured out how to do a CAD design for a 3D printer off of YouTube, and sent it to a 3D printer, had it printed, took the prototype back to the doctor, and I was like, okay, so remember when you told me I should invent something? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, here it is. And he's like, I was kidding, right? And I'm like, well, I wasn't. I'm not going to do this to my son anymore. And if we have to use that device, we're not doing the surgery. And so we tested it out that day in his office, and lo and behold, it worked. And so he was like, well, there's 32 days before his surgery. We can't use it at the hospital unless you have a patent on it. I'm like, well, how do you get a patent? And he was like, I don't know, you figured out this, go figure it out. So in a matter of 30 days, I filed for a provisional and that for that next surgery. And what took Levi in January of that year, using the other device we were using, what took him 3 weeks in the hospital to heal from, with all the complications and having to be on Valium and Dilaudid and all kinds of sedating drugs, Took him one observation night in the hospital, and he went home and healed beautifully. Had no infections, had no complications. So in my mind, I was like, yay, we're done. I'm done. I did it. I fixed it. And the urologist came to me. He's like, absolutely not. He's like, I know thousands and thousands of patients that need this device all over the world. He's like, you have a massive responsibility now. You need to get this into the hands of other people. And I'm like, so you're telling me I have to take a device to market? Again, how does one even begin to do something like that? He's like, again, I don't know. This is your job. Go figure it out. And so my goal changed that day from helping my son to helping kids all over the planet who struggle with infections and complications from the fixes and the devices that they have already. So that's how I started. And I have just surrounded myself with amazing people, and I've raised the money to do it. And right now we're about 6 months away from being able to launch.
Wow, that is such an impactful story. I always tell people never get in the way of a mom on a mission because they will get the job done, which you certainly have. So the device you created for your son, will that be the only one that Levity Products is launching, or are you looking into other devices as well?
So right now we're actually taking 3 devices to market simultaneously. They all kind of do something similar. They're external catheter stabilizers, but for different types of catheters. And eventually we will be opening into all different types of tubes going in and out of the body, like chemo ports and chest tubes and cardiac tubes to stabilize tubes on the outside of the body.
That's amazing. And you never saw yourself doing something like this?
No. Oh my goodness. This is not in my wheelhouse whatsoever. Not in a million years did I think I'd be doing what I'm doing. But if my child is in trouble, there's nothing that would stop me from helping him. Not anything.
What challenges or fears have you been facing getting ready to take Levity Products to the next level?
Yeah, well, it's been a lot of people have told me that I'm not doing things like everyone else has done them. You know, most people, when you have an idea for a product like this, have some type of background. Or they go to a company that has background, that has the funding, that has, you know, all of the resources to be able to create a device and take it to market. And I was nervous at the beginning because I know this device works. I know that it will help kids, and I didn't want it to be a thing that would get buried, that would get put off. I want to get it into the hands of kids. And so I knew I had to do it as an individual, and I have yet to meet somebody who has done what I'm doing as an individual and not gotten the help of another medical device company. I've had to raise all the money myself through friends and family, and just because if there's one thing I'm good at talking. I will talk to anybody and everybody. And then the second thing is just surrounding myself with people that are much better than me and know much more than I do. And so I just go from one person to one person saying, here's my story. Who do you know? What do you know? I've raised $5 million all by myself. I've never raised money in my life. $5 million just from talking to people. I don't have angel investors. I don't have, big investors. It's just friends and family going from one person to the next. That has been a challenge. Raising $5 million has been a massive challenge, but we've done it. Like I said, there's just nothing that will stop me. I have chipped away at this process and learned what I've needed to learn. And when I put my kids to bed at night, I work from 8:30 till 2 a.m. and I get up the next morning and do it all over again to become an expert at the things I need to be an expert at. I'm a single mom of 3, and I have my kids the majority of the time. And so there's not a lot of wiggle room in my life, but I have a feeling that it is going to be worth it. And for me, it has nothing to do with money. I'm so focused on helping kids because, again, I'm not the person in the lab or the person that's sitting in a medical device company trying to come up with ideas. I'm a mama in a hospital room who has held my kid as he's dying, who has held my kid screaming in pain. It like flips something different in me. And so if it's a challenge, it's not like I have never seen anything as something that would stop me. I would just when somebody said you need to raise $5 million, it's not even a, oh my goodness, that's so daunting, I don't think I can do that. It's a, okay, let's go, let's get this done. And I just don't stop until it's done.
Did you have any mentors or life experiences that helped you prepare for this?
Oh my. Well, the life experience would be, holding my son. Look, I have the advantage of looking at his face every single day. That's motivation enough for me. A lot of this, I have surrounded myself with some incredible people. I've got managers that run my protocols at the hospital that we're doing all of our research at, and people who have gone before me in business who have been advising me. Ted Morgan is one of them. Frank Melendez. Those two men I wouldn't be able to have gotten as far as I am today. I've got some people that have come alongside me and helped me keep everything for business. There's so many things that I don't know. I'm sure people will listen to this podcast and be like, oh my goodness, that's what I went to school for. Or that's what I do on an everyday basis. But I am just a mom. And so I have had to get a lot of help, a lot of advice. But through a lot of it, I've just kept my focus on people, on kids, on children that need help, on the mamas that need help for their kids. And I don't need a lot of motivation because their faces are the ones that drive me. Because I've been there. I've been the one holding my kid, as they have said, you might be in your final hours. Like, this might be it. Like, that breaks something in you when you have to do that as a parent. But I have had incredible investors, people who have believed in me. But a lot of it is just me putting one foot in front of another and figuring out what the next step is, not looking too far ahead, just accomplishing what's next and then what's next and then what's next, and tackling it. And in 3.5 years, we've gone from 0 to having 3 devices that are almost finished with the entire validation process and almost ready to launch, and raised $5 million doing it. But again, I have incredible people who have surrounded me and helped me get this far.
Why did you and Levity Products choose to join Medical Alley Association, and why is this region the best place for your company to launch?
Oh my goodness. I don't think I could have lived in a better place to have invented a medical device than Minneapolis, St. Paul area. Oh my goodness. Like, everything is here. Like, this is medical device world. I'm so fortunate to have the companies that are here, the people that know medical devices here. Medical Alley is a company that, if I'm like, I don't know how to do this part, or is there a better way to do this instead of what I've already come up with or I've heard over here, can you help me? Are there any other connections? Are there ways that, or things that I don't know about raising money that you could advise me on, or people I should be connected with? That has been my deal. That is the only thing I have. And so for a company like you guys that I can come and say, you have so many connections, so many resources, so many different things that I will need, but I'm not exactly sure of. Have I checked off all the boxes? Have I thought of everything? To be able to have that in my back pocket as a mom who doesn't have a background, who doesn't have the kind of connections that I would need, has been valuable. To know that I feel, it makes me feel safer as an inventor of a device like this, knowing that that it's possible as a mom to take a medical device to market. It's possible. I mean, so many people have been like, I wish I have this idea and this idea and this idea, because I have lots of parents of special needs kids that have ideas. But how in the world do you start to create some of these things, to get it into the hands of other people? I wanted to be the person that said, it is possible. Let me pave the way. Let me, hack it all up so that people can come alongside or behind me and say, okay, I can do it too. And I can connect them with a company like Medical Alley and say, if we're missing anything for what you have, this is your resource, because they have all the connections, all the resources for the how-tos of how to get to where you want to go and get devices into the hands of people that really need them.
Thank you again for joining us for this episode of the Medical Alley Association podcast. To make sure you don't miss a single episode, be sure to visit us at medicalalley.org, subscribe to our newsletter, and follow us on all of our social media channels.